Good morning, everyone. It is a Tuesday morning, August 27th, 6:19 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. Still talking the only thing that is worth talking about this week, and that is Andrew Luck. It's going to dominate the headlines until the season starts. It's just what it is. So buckle up and enjoy the ride. There's a lot of fallout to it. There's a lot of effects on gambling and rankings and playoff implications and, other teams potentially trading their backup quarterbacks to, the Colts. Because the Colts are a team, now they don't have the best roster and the best supporting cast in the league around their quarterback, but it's up there. It's a vastly improved offensive line. They have T.Y. Hilton. They have Ebron, who's a tight end, who's a red zone target. He's fairly reliable. And their defense is greatly improved. So it's a team that looked like they probably would have won the AFC South. Now, I'm not 100% sure on that. Not that I like the Titans, but they have been 9-7 3 seasons in a row. Team that's consistently over 500 in the NFL is a good team, no matter how often Marcus Mariota gets hurt. They did bring in Ryan Tannehill to be the backup there. And I think the Texans, despite losing Lamar Miller to a brutal injury the other night, it's a torn ACL. He's out for the year. It's a real shame, but luckily they brought in Duke Johnson. They traded for him, so, they still have some semblance of a running game. And they'll piece together some other guys, because Duke Johnson is more of a receiving back, and he's not someone who can really be a third down back who can do it every single down. But Duke Johnson is not a bad running back. And, the Texans, they have a good roster. They have a good defense. They have Deshaun Watson. They have DeAndre Hopkins, who doesn't know how to drop footballs. So it's an interesting division, and there's a lot of fallout within the AFC South. And it's probably a really bittersweet day on Saturday when Andrew Luck announces his retirement, because you also lose Lamar Miller. So it's pretty bittersweet for the Texans. But they may, I don't know if steal's the right word, but they may walk away with this division now and go to the playoffs. So it's an interesting look for the division and an interesting look for the Texans, I think. Now, it also puts Jacoby Brissett, who was the backup in Indy, puts him right into that starting quarterback role in place of Andrew Luck. And, it begs the question. Now, who are the better quarterbacks in the AFC without Andrew Luck? Because Andrew Luck was one of the favorites to be the MVP in the entire NFL. So who are the better quarterbacks now in the AFC? You already have Mahomes. You expect him to be fantastic. You obviously have Brady. You know the names. The oldies but goodies. The Phillip Rivers, the Ben Roethlisbergers. And who else is up and coming? We're talking about Deshaun Watson. We're talking about Baker Mayfield. And are we talking about Sam Darnold? Are we talking about those young guys like that? The Bills aren't a great offensive team, but is Josh Allen a good quarterback? So there's a lot of guys in the AFC. I really think Deshaun Watson, Baker Mayfield, and Sam Darnold are the guys who kind of fill that void in the quarterback rankings in the AFC. But it's such an interesting conversation. I think it's something that you could talk about for days, weeks, and months. And it's a story. It's a decision. It's a shocking retirement that it's just going to linger and fester kind of in the NFL for a long time. It's not every day that you see someone in their prime, 29 years old, still under contract, but poised to earn another contract, assuming health, and, basically left hundreds of millions of dollars on the table from sponsorships and ads and whatever it is, and the contract on the field. It's really wild, but again, his prerogative. Made a decision which was best for himself, which he saw fit best for himself, to preserve some kind of healthy lifestyle where he's not a broken individual later on in his life. Again, the only downside or negative you can look at is the timing of this. Without a doubt, it's very bad for the Colts. It's bad for his teammates. It's bad for the entire organization. There's no other way around that. That's more factual than anything. Nobody can argue against your franchise quarterback retiring 2 weeks before the season starting and say that's not a bad thing. That is a bad thing. Of course it is. You could say he still has the right to do it, and that's your opinion. You could say he could do this whenever he damn well pleases. Fine. He has the right to do this whenever he wants. Clearly, he just did it. But the only thing you can disagree with is the timing of when he did it, because it is really bad for the organization and it leaves them in a lurch. And everyone can say, well, Luck was already hurt, so he wasn't probably going to start the season. Okay, but how long was he going to be out? 1, 2, 3, maybe 4 weeks at most? And assuming this is not, a ruptured Achilles situation like Kevin Durant, assuming this is not something catastrophic, it was a calf injury, it was some form of lower leg injury that he would have recovered from within a month. So it's not like they were ready to rely on Jacoby Brissett like they are now all year. Now, Jacoby Brissett, he has some starting experience in the NFL, and that's great, but Jacoby Brissett is not very good. I mean, if you rank every starting quarterback right now in the NFL, he is in the bottom third, and it's not even, it shouldn't be a debate. How many guys are worse than Jacoby Brissett? I guess whoever's starting for the Dolphins, albeit Fitzpatrick or Rosen, I guess you'd say worse than Brissett. Case Keenum, I think, is worse than Brissett. Giants fans are going to hate me, but I don't know that Eli Manning is better than Jacoby Brissett, and people might laugh at me for that. But Eli Manning is 100, and he has no receivers, and an offensive line that's not that great. And all he has to do is check down to Saquon Barkley, and that's really all he can do. So I just don't think Eli Manning is better than Jacoby Brissett. There's a couple other guys out there that are questionable. Jameis Winston, Marcus Mariota. I guess these guys are better than Brissett. Fine. Let's play the game. Where is that siren coming from? Okay, it's on the other side of the street. Of course, you guys join me on the way home every morning from CBS Sports Radio Network. I am Dave Ettinger, the host of the Dave Talk Sports podcast. This is episode number 46, and we're still talking Andrew Luck because it's the only thing to talk about. We're talking about the impact, the fallout from other players, from other teams, from his division, from his conference, and all the other things that are affected by his individual decision. Now you can subscribe to my YouTube channel right here, the Dave Talk Sports YouTube channel. You can follow me on Twitter at DaveEttinger2. You can also find me on my Facebook page and website, both named Dave Talk Sports. I appreciate everyone for listening. Again, it is a Tuesday morning, August 27th, 6:28 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And, sometimes there's escapades and things that happen on the drive home on the road. It's been pretty quiet as of late. No one trying to kill me. Nobody trying to run me off the road. When those things happen, you'll definitely find out about them. And it's always an adventure, though, driving home from Manhattan. And the traffic's not too bad. I usually get home in approximately 40 minutes. On the way into the radio station, it's about 30 minutes. It's a little bit less because there's really nobody on the road at midnight. So it's really not that bad, though. If I could pick up the camera and turn it off to the left here, you'd see all the people trying to get into the city, and that's a disaster. That's a 2-hour trip. Easy, hands down. But on the way home, it's not so bad. I'm going against traffic. So my commute is no tolls. There's no parking fee. I can park on the street for free. I get in and out in a combined hour and 10 minutes, which is unheard of for a round trip in and out of Manhattan from where I live on Long Island. The only thing is just gas money and wear and tear on the car. So, this is the vehicle you see me in every single morning. This is how I get around. So it's not too bad of a commute. I hope your commute to work is somewhat similar. I enjoy it. I get to go home within 5 minutes after I post this video on YouTube. I am sound asleep. I am a person who can sleep any day, anytime, anywhere, under any circumstance. You put me on the dining room table, I could fall asleep. You put me on the floor underneath the table, I could fall asleep. You tell me to fall asleep while I'm standing up mid-sentence while I'm talking to you guys, I could fall asleep. Now, it's good and it's bad. It's good because when I have very limited time to sleep, being the hour and a half sometimes I have in between jobs, it's really nice because I could fall asleep like that and get that full hour and a half of sleep. In other circumstances, it's bad because I'm sleep deprived, I work a lot, and I just don't get enough sleep, so it's not super healthy. But it's not forever. I don't plan to work the overnights forever. I enjoy where I work at CBS Sports Radio Network. It's something I've always wanted to do, work in sports, specifically sports radio. But it's a step in the right direction. It's a job, again, I appreciate and I take very seriously. And I run the audio boards for one of the shows